Thanks for joining us tonight. A teenager accused of murder will not be let out of jail while he awaits trial. Today, a judge ordered Tyrese Coleman be held without bond. He's accused of gunning down a 17-year-old last month near 18th and Spencer Streets. Producer Roger Hamer was in the courtroom where we learned new information.
Count one against you is alleged to be murder in the first degree. That's a Class 1A felony that leads to life imprisonment.
Tyrese Coleman turned 18 just a few days ago. Today, he stood before a judge charged with the death of 17-year-old Messiah Holly. The prosecution laid out what they believe happened that November evening.
A shot spotter reported 5 gunshots near 18th and Spencer Streets, where the victim, a Messiah Holly, was found shot in the head, neck, back, arms, and hands.
Prosecutors say home surveillance video showed a large crowd of young people encircling Holly. Gunshots rang out moments later, and everyone scattered.
Some of the males running to a vehicle and others to a nearby house. A sweep of that same house uncovered various suspects. And a subsequent search of the home revealed a Glock handgun with an extended magazine in an upstairs bedroom.
Prosecutors say evidence recovered in the bedroom and police ballistic reports matched shell casings at the scene of the shooting with rounds in the magazine, and that led them to Coleman. Police also interviewed several people who were there during the shooting.
And 2 of the suspects present during the assault and shooting of the victim identified this defendant as the one who shot and killed the victim. According to both statements, several of the suspects began punching and kicking the victim when the defendant yelled, quote, watch out, end quote, pulled out a handgun and then shot the victim multiple times, killing him.
The public defender told the judge Coleman was a lifelong Omahan and an 11th grader at Northwest High School.
Based on the serious nature of these allegations, the defendant is ordered to be held without bond in this matter.
Roger Hamer, WOWT 6 News.
All right, thanks, Raj. The prosecution also pointed out that Coleman was already on probation for theft charges from a few weeks ago. Coleman's next court appearance is set for February 6th. Now we're learning more about the devastating crash involving an ambulance yesterday afternoon. Authorities telling 6 News 72-year-old Deborah Burkhauser did die in that crash.